Hi friends, this is new for me. I have not done a video before, but I'm giving it a shot because we are going to walk through Holy Week toward the cross in isolation from one another. And Holy Week is one of my favorite times of year. It is so meaningful to me when we can intentionally walk toward the cross with Jesus. Jesus knew as he approached Jerusalem and as he approached the cross during Holy Week, he knew it was the end of his life. And so I find those final teachings and those final events that he did to be very meaningful. So Sunday is Palm Sunday, but Jesus was already approaching Jerusalem for the final time on a mission to rescue me and all of humankind. So what does Jesus do before Palm Sunday? Matthew and Mark have very similar accounts. In both of those accounts, Jesus tells the disciples precisely why he's going to Jerusalem. And it isn't to celebrate the Passover. He tells them his mission, and I read from Matthew 20, verses 17 through 19. Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, and he took the 12 aside privately and told them what was going to happen to him. He said, "Listen, we're going up to Jerusalem, where the Son of Man will be betrayed to the leading priests and the teachers of religious law. They will sentence him to die. Then they will hand him over to the Romans to be mocked, flogged with the whip, and crucified. But on the third day, he will be raised from the dead." Now that's very specific prediction. It's not the first time Jesus has predicted his death, but I am always struck by the remarkable detail that he gives in this passage. He even predicts crucifixion. So what is he doing in this? Is he just giving his disciples a heads up? Hey guys, this is what's gonna happen, get ready, I'm gonna face some tough times? Or is he also telling them that it's part of the plan, that this is the plan, not part of the plan, this is the plan, this is all necessary? There's not going to be one surprise in the next week. God has it all lined up. Now, if this was a movie, the music would probably get pretty intense right now. There'd be a deeper bass line and it would get more serious. We're heading for the climax that God has planned for all time. And you'd think, after Jesus predicts his death and crucifixion and flogging, that it would be a somber time. The disciples might be confused, but that they would be sad, and there might be some quiet murmurs among them. But no, the very next thing that both Matthew and Mark report is that James, John, and their mother cook up this plan to secure positions of status and honor in Jesus' kingdom. Didn't they just hear what Jesus said? That he would be betrayed and killed? How could they possibly think that this was an appropriate time to ask for favors, especially favors about prestige and honor? And then the other disciples hear about this, and they all start arguing about who's going to be the greatest in the kingdom. Did they not understand anything about Jesus' ministry, leading by serving and being humble, and his criticism of the current leaders and their arrogance? It's actually a little bit reassuring for me to think that the disciples could follow Jesus for 3 years and so easily fall back into their old ways of thinking about how society functioned. But it's reassuring that I'm not the only one who doesn't always follow Jesus perfectly. Jesus has to remind them that in order to be great, they need to become servants to other people. And then the very next thing that Matthew and Mark both record is that Jesus heals a blind man. But this blind man calls him by his messianic name, Son of David. The blind man knows who Jesus is. The message of this healing is that for those who have eyes to see, they will be able to see. Jesus heals the blind man because he sees who Jesus is. The disciples say they know who Jesus is. Peter has called him the Christ, but Jesus doesn't fit into their box of expectations. Surely the Son of Man doesn't die. The Messiah comes to save and rescue, not to die. They don't even hear Jesus predict his death because it doesn't fit into their box. Jesus' message by healing the blind man is he's saying to his disciples, you are blind to what's happening right in front of you. So I wonder, when are we blind? When do we not see Jesus' message? When do we read scripture and completely miss the real meaning because it doesn't fit our idea of how things should operate, how society should be? It doesn't fit into our box. Let's not be blind this Holy Week as we approach the cross. Let's open our eyes to what Jesus is saying to us. He is on a mission to rescue us. Let's try to understand what that means, what he's rescuing us from, and how we should respond.